Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Once Upon a Time at the Oscars. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Once Upon a Time at the Oscars,
the show where we take you through every Best Picture nomination from 1927 to today.
I'm your host, Kyle.
And I'm Ryan.
And this week, we're talking actual musical.
Actual musical. Hollywood Review, we had a lot of discussions about whether that was a musical or not. There are songs in it. But is it truly a musical, or is it more just they're performing songs?
Right. Broadway Melody, we had one melody.
Performed multiple times.
Yeah, the greatest melody, but that's about it. But today we actually have a musical that you could go back as a modern musical fan and actually see, like, oh, I know this. You know, you pull up your little computer, Jurassic Park style, and you're like,
yeah,
my God. But
hold on to your butts.
So, do you want to just hop into it, or you want to banter? How we feeling today?
I'm feeling good, man. I mean, like, so musicals. You know, I guess we can start with a State of the Union when it comes to musicals. Fan, big fan.
Nice, same.
I thought you might be. I think that musicals have had a lot of adaptation. We talked about this on the Hollywood Review episode. Maybe Hollywood Review of 1929. Depends if you're a purist. Big fan of Singing in the Rain. Singing in the Rain is in my top 4 on Letterboxd. Which, by the way, maybe that's a good introduction for everyone. How do you feel about your top 4 on Letterboxd? Is that like a weekly thing, or?
They've been the same for years now.
That's where I'm at.
I really want to go in and change them up a little bit. I don't know that they're the best representation of me. Maybe half of them are.
Yeah.
I do have Roll Bounce in my top 4. It's Bow Wow.
Yeah, I was about to say Nick Cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roll Bounce in your top 4.
Dude, let me tell you. Have you seen Roll Bounce?
Now, is this like a ha-ha, wouldn't it be funny, or like you cry at Roll Bounce?
This is a movie, man. Roll Bounce is exciting. Have you seen Roll Bounce? Answer the question, Ryan.
I think I have.
You think. No, you would know if you saw Roll Bounce, okay?
Is this going to be... You and I have been talking about, where we are years from now. Are we going to be, renting out, the plaza and, screening one of these movies? And I think now more the reality of our scenario is we're going to be renting out a Sparkles and showing, a screening of Roll Bounce on it.
Look.
Is that correct?
That movie is exciting. It is heartwarming. Mm-hmm. The choreography in that movie.
Get out, yeah.
I mean, if you want to talk about musicals... Let's talk about Roll Bounce. I've put my notes away for the Love Parade. Okay?
This is a Roll Bounce episode now.
Yeah, we're talking Roll Bounce. So,
is this true? This is in your top 4?
Yeah, it is.
I'm looking this up right now.
Now,
this is insane.
It's my 4th, but it's still up there.
I mean, it's top 4, though.
Whatever movie, Roll Bounce, directed by somebody in the early 2000s, starring Bow Wow. We're getting into it. You're typing away furiously.
I'm looking so fast.
Today, we're talking... The tale of a young man in California's suburb. I don't even know where they're from, but
I'm hooked.
They're skating, and it's like that. What is that called? Not synchronized skating. What is it called?
I think it's synchronized.
Is it
synchronization? Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got just the
oh my god,
funk
it is
music from the 70s, and oh man, it's so good.
Hold on now. So. Top 4 for Kyle is as follows: from the top to the down, or to the bottom,
which I think is a line from Roll Bounce.
From the top to the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I did it. You know how much I love Roll Bounce. The worst person in the world.
Yes.
5
easy pieces.
5 easy pieces. Thank you so much. I don't love that color of orange and brown over the yellow font.
Okay. Well,
hard to read.
Watch your mouth.
Just the poster. Movie's fine. As Above, So Below.
Yeah, man.
Big fan.
Cool.
Big fan. And then Roll Bounce.
Listen.
Did you go for a genre? You were for genre, for drama, this.
Look, I just thought we had to encompass who I am as a person.
Well-rounded, okay? Yeah.
Well-rounded. I'm into the horror. I'm into the emotional dramas.
That's just romance.
Yeah. Sometimes I can get a little goofy. I can have a little fun.
You sure can.
I was in a P-Funk band in middle school.
Hell
I wasn't listening to the Ohio Players, baby.
Okay. Cool. I mean, so my top 4, I have You've Got Mail, Singing in the Rain, Gremlins. And I did just swap out. I did have Inception up there.
Okay.
I was thinking about what I wanted for a Nolan. But the more that I thought about it, I was like, oh, but you know what really feels more like who I am right now and what I love about those type of movies and that scale is Denis Villeneuve, Arrival.
Oh, yeah.
Arrival is way more of a like, I love Inception, but Arrival just has that gut punch. So
yeah.
Yeah. That's me right now.
That's a good pick, man.
It's no roll bounce.
You're not having enough fun.
I'm not having I put Gremlins in there and Singing in the Rain.
But it's not roll bounce.
It's not roll bounce. That is true. You know what is fun though? You know this. Taylor and I saw Back to the Future in theaters last night.
Sweet.
Her first time.
God, I can't imagine.
She texted her mom. She was like, hey, I'm seeing Back to the Future for the first time. And her mom said, what did I do wrong?
Right.
To where you're now seeing Back to the Future for the first time. So, no, she loved it. Big fan. But while I was watching it, it's just always so cool. We went to Universal Studios in California last year, as I talked about. And we went on the backlot tour. And of course, they have the clock tower and everything that you can see on site. But at the same time, they have those drug stores and the theater that are just to the left of the clock tower in the movie. And in it, Taylor was like, oh yeah, it just looks just like the set. That's all I can see is the backlot tour now. I was like, it's not what I see. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, especially in 1955, 1985, not so much. But in 1955, the way that the theater is lit up and the way that the drugstores are on the left, that was another movie to me. And do you know what that is?
I did at one point because I've also done the backlot tour, but I forget.
I don't even think they mentioned it in the backlot tour, which is interesting.
And I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's Gremlins.
Is it?
And it's specifically the theater where they watch Snow White. And then directly to the left of it is the drugstore that Stripe goes to for Milk Duds.
Wow.
And then the closing, the climax of the movie is in that drugstore. So to me, I was just like, I just want to watch Gremlins right now. Like, it's great. Don't get me wrong. Back to the Future still holds up. But it's funny. You can hear Taylor in real time figuring out like a little bit of the story where she meets Marty's parents in 1985. And she's like, did they intentionally put a lot of makeup on these young actors? And I was like, give it about 15 minutes.
Right.
And you'll see what's going on here.
Yeah. Man, what
so
a
she pieced it
thrill.
together. Oh, it plays so well on the screen. I actually forgot that Huey Lewis is in the movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, Huey Lewis and the News is all over this movie with Power of Love, Back in Time.
Yep.
The poster of Sports is on Marty's wall behind him. But then Huey Lewis is actually the musical director,
Yep.
choosing the bands to play.
I'm sorry, kids. You're just too darn loud.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, man, what a
Classic.
great movie.
It's no roll bounce, but
It's no roll bounce. What could be?
nothing. No. We're going to sit down and we're going to watch roll bounce together one day.
I have a feeling that we are very much going to, that's our legacy. It's like everything we've done here and all the history that we do is we're going to be like, hey guys, aren't you so impressed with all the movies that we saw and all the research they did? Like, yeah, let's talk about roll bounce some more.
I don't know what it is. I genuinely love that movie.
We'll find out. I was about to say I'll take your word for it, but I feel like I'm going to have to find out with you.
We're like 7-8 minutes into this podcast, and we've talked so much about roll bounce.
I wish Roll Bounce was nominated for Best Picture.
I wish it was too, but let's get
talk
into
about something that was.
Yeah, let's actually move on.
So we're talking about The Love Parade.
We are.
The Love Parade is the topic for today. This is a film that was directed by our boy Ernst Lubitsch. Forever our boy. That's a good t-shirt for us, is like my boy Ernst Lubitsch.
Dude, I've been saying this for a long time. Nostalgia and things, a huge part of just the consumerism nature of our society.
Absolutely.
Let's go back further. Let's have Academy Award winner George Arliss printed on a t-shirt. It'll sell.
I
somebody?
almost wore it today, but the one that we got, this is the only bad thing about buying shirts online. You can never know what the size truly is.
Sure.
Because, I'm wearing like a 1X right now, and then you order like a 1X, and it's actually a 3X, or vice versa.
Dude, I've gotten some of my best dresses off t-shirt shops.
I know. I love your Zelda dresses that you
Thanks,
have.
man.
It's so great. So, specifically, I almost wore my 1993 Cannes Film Festival t-shirt
That's cool.
that I did not get at Cannes. I just ordered online.
Yeah.
But I almost wore that here because it's very fun to kind of own, like, you know, the more nostalgia. Like, I love Cannes Film Festival. I love movies. Very cool to have them from 1993. Let's get it. So instead, I'm wearing my King of Summer t-shirt. That's my brother's band. And famously, I just want to describe this for the pod. It's the poster of Poltergeist.
Yes.
But instead of the line, they're here, it says, they suck. Which
That's good.
I'm a very big fan of.
Yeah, I like
because
it.
I've been saying, like, they suck, like that for a while. Anyways, so I agree. I think the more that we can have, like, that niche. I was just telling, I was at a craft fair yesterday. And, like, the stuff that was, like, flying off the shelves is more niche. And it's more like, what do you mean you have a stained glass art of Arthur the Aardvark from PBS?
Dude, people are into this stuff.
It's huge. So yeah, you're not drawing like a huge wide net, but the people who want it find it and they're like, dang, $100 down the drain.
Right? That's all that means. You have to make 10 George Arliss t-shirts. That's it. And sell them for $50 a pop.
And George Arliss owns all of them.
Right. He's like, I'll take 20.
No one appreciates the work of George Arliss more than George Arliss.
This is true.
So about Love Parade.
We're never going to cover this
So
movie.
the director is Ernst Lubitsch. We've covered that.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about the rest of the cast and crew here, Kyle.
So you have Maurice Chevalier as Count Alfred Renard, Jeanette MacDonald as Queen Louise, and I actually don't have the other two big stars written down. One of them is Lillian Roth,
Correct.
plays Lulu. I've memorized that because I adore her in this movie.
Well, the other one that you can name here is Lupino Lane, who plays Jacques.
Yes. We'll get into that whole thing very soon. This was produced by Paramount Pictures, and this tells the story of a young French soldier who is a ladies' man.
Ow, ow. Yeah, he is.
He's out here, he's getting with a lot of women.
He is.
A ton of women. And
He's enjoying Paris to its fullest.
yes, he is. He is now being punished to go serve for the Queen directly. And he makes a little trip over to the Queen's royal palace. And
As one does.
yeah, we find out very soon after that Queen Louise, she's also kind of a freak. She's into being bossy. She's into a man like Alfred.
She's interested in a man who isn't just wanting. He would want a queen, right? You want a queen. You don't want someone who's just going to be, what can I do for you? It's what can I do for you, queen?
Yes.
Not what can the queen do for me?
Right. You know, the way I describe this, I feel like when you describe, you go through the plot of the films, you're very like well-spoken and
Thank you.
dude, it really is impressive. I took command of this one and I
Yeah.
did it kind of in a like,
Saucy
you can't
way.
see me, but yeah, I'm saucing it up.
Yeah.
I'm doing a little shoulder movement.
Which is perfect for the movie because it's a saucy one.
It is. This is the greatest example of our pre-code era.
Yes. Well, this is essentially a sex comedy,
It is.
right?
It is.
Like, there really isn't much on screen, but the chemistry that the two leads have, specifically, that would be Maurice and, I'm already...
Jeanette.
Jeanette, thank you. So, Maurice and Jeanette, the chemistry that they have is so good. And it really is almost like they're giving into each other so much, and it's not one is in charge of the other. It's that they've given into each other, specifically.
Yes.
And it plays extremely well to where you're kind of not sure where the plot's going for a while, right? It's not, I have the leg up here, or look what I'm benefiting from this specifically. It really is just like a romantic comedy, like truly a romantic comedy.
Yes.
But a lot of it relies on like how much lust they have for each other.
Yes, and man, there are times when I go back and I watch a pre-code film, and there are these elements of sexuality and things present in the movie, and it's almost shocking because you just assume old Hollywood, they're buttoned up, to the neck. You're not showing anything, you're not implying anything. It is very, very conservative. So when you get a movie like this that kind of pushes the envelope, it's so refreshing and it's so exciting.
It is. And it's interesting because I think the way that we all think of it now is it would have to be what you can see, right? Like, what visually are you pushing that like is kind of like controversial or, like too sexy, so to speak. And in this, it really is more almost like a kink, right?
Yes.
Like the way that they talk to each other, it's more like they're kind of like riling each other up with the way that they speak. You know, the idea of like, hey, well, you've done this terrible thing and going into France and being with all these women and having illicit affairs. So I'm going to have to punish you.
Yes.
What does that look like? Like, what would be a bad punishment for you? And they kind of play off the idea of those punishments. And that's kind of like the sexiest that it gets. You never really see too much more on screen beyond passionate kissing.
Yes.
And I assume even the passionate kissing would be like a problem pre or code and post code.
Right.
Not
yeah.
post code, but like during the code.
100%. 100%.
Code present.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll say that. I want to go back real quick because you talked about that opening moment where Count Alfred, Maurice, is specifically in Paris. He has a number. There's 2 numbers. Ooh la la. I kind of want to backstep in 2 ways. One, could this be, and I kind of know the answer to this, I kind of don't, could this be the first recorded talkie with a fourth wall break?
It could be.
I know it's not the first film.
Right.
Specifically, if we want to jump back, 1918, there's a silent film called Men Who Have Made Love to Me, which, again, kind of an interesting comparison.
My shoulders are going.
They're going. We're getting a little saucy. In 1918, The Men Who Have Made Love to Me, very long list on my part, is starring and written by Mary McLean. McLean is actually the one who directly addresses the audience in this. Interesting for a silent film for that to be the case.
Yeah.
But that was the first recorded wall break here. Fourth wall break, I should say. In this, very early on, there's a conversation that's happening between Maurice and another woman, and someone's entering the room, and Maurice looks at the camera and says, her husband. And I thought that was really interesting, because like that early on, not just in time, but also just into the movie, it's maybe 5 minutes. You're kind of like, it almost feels like the bets are off. Like anything can happen in this movie. And it was so thrilling to be like, whoa, what is going on in this?
Yeah.
How did you feel about that fourth wall break?
It's Ernst Lubitsch is such a prolific director, and he is known for his comedies. He was nominated last Academy year for The Patriot.
Yeah.
Not a comedy.
So different.
Yes, very different.
We haven't seen it, and we know it's so different.
Right, exactly. But he's so well known for his comedies, and I think that one moment immediately shows his skill as a director and his skill at presenting comedy. The movie opens up, people are speaking French.
Yeah.
Right? The audience isn't really going to know what's going on, and he has this problem. Ernst Lubitsch has this issue. How are they going to understand what's going on in this moment? I know. We'll just straight up tell them. And you would think that that's one of those, oh, show, don't tell, blah, blah, blah. He just rolls with it, and he turns it into a comedic beat itself.
It's so cheeky.
It's great.
It doesn't feel like forced. It doesn't feel like it's out of left field, but it doesn't feel out of place for what's to come.
No, it's like everything that works in a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Yes.
And he's doing it here.
Yep, 100%.
Let's talk about what this was nominated for before we really get into the meat and potatoes.
Love it.
6 nominations. Huge. You have sound recording. Big deal. That's the first time we're actually talking about sound in the early talkie era. Cinematography for Victor Milner. Art direction for Hans Dreyer. Actor for Maurice Chevalier. Directing for Ernst Lubitsch. And then, of course, outstanding picture, outstanding production for Paramount Famous Lasky. That is a huge amount of nominations.
I mean, for reference, I guess, so to speak, for comparison's sake, the last film that we talked about, 3 nominations.
Right.
Only 3 nominations for Disraeli.
Exactly. This, I'm trying to save the surprise of my thoughts on the film till the end. I am so excited to be talking about this movie.
I think it's fair to say that we're just way more excited to talk about this than we were with Disraeli, right? Because with Disraeli specifically, it was a lot of how do we discuss what this is?
Yes.
Right? And with this, it's a lot easier to discuss because it is just essentially what has paved the way for sexy comedies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So specifically with the performance that Maurice is giving into Alfred, there's a bit of work that needs to be established when you are doing a romantic comedy like this and you're playing the player, but it's a musical, right? Fourth wall break has already happened, but how cheeky are we going to get? What's the humor of this movie? Sure, the character of Count Alfred is allowed to break the wall, or the fourth wall in this sense, but how much is the movie going to have fun with this as much as he is? And that's answered pretty early on in our, I believe, second musical number. The first is titled as Ooh La La. The second is Paris, Stay the Same. He is leaving. He's confirmed he's leaving.
Yes.
He and Jacques are returning home, specifically to see the Queen, specifically in Sylvania. And they have the number Paris, Stay the Same, where in it, there are three aspects to it. One, and you know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
One, Count Alfred is paying his respects to Paris and letting him know, hey, stay the same. Even though I'm leaving, don't change. And Jacques is doing a similar thing, right? Hey, for all the ladies that he's loved, right? I couldn't be me, but for all the ladies that he's loved, you should stay the same. And then the third aspect is probably my favorite musical number here, and that's where they let the dog have a verse.
Yes.
And the dog proceeds to bark. And in the same sense that the camera cuts to windows of women who are receiving this message from the singer, first in Count Alfred and second in Jacques, the camera cuts to multiple dogs that are receiving the message of this one dog to let them know, hey, don't change. You stay the same. I might be leaving, but I don't ever want you to see you change. And that was when I was like, I'm comforted. Like, you know, we've had that little moment of like, what are the rules and the comedy of this? And seeing that, I was just so happy. It was like, it's the actual whimsy that you want to feel in a musical.
Yes.
Right? Like, you're safe. Don't worry. We're going to tackle this completely fine. And you're going to have a great time with it.
It is a level of fun that I don't think we've experienced yet on the show.
I agree. Fun is a great word for it.
At the beginning, the opening scene, to go back a little bit, when the woman's husband shows up.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes to shoot Maurice, Alfred, and the gun doesn't fire. And they're both like looking at it.
Oh, it does fire.
It does, but there's no bullet comes out.
Correct.
It's a fake gun or has blanks or whatever.
Right.
But the way they both are examining the gun after, even Alfred, he's like, well, here, let me take a look at it.
Yeah. He's
Maybe
like, do you mind? Do you mind if I take a look at it real quick? And they like passively hand it off to each other.
It is so refreshing. It feels modern in a way that is so surprising. And I could not believe, I've seen this movie before. And I remember enjoying it the first time. And again, in a showcase of how I guess I have evolved as a viewer, I really, really was vibing with this movie from the get-go.
Same. And it's ultimately revealed that the woman who shot herself, that he was having an affair with, actually just used the blank and hoped that they would leave and she could escape.
Yes.
And she just kind of opens her eyes and, to your words, a very Bugs Bunny way of like, ain't I a stinker?
Yes.
And because of this, he's sent home to return home to Sylvania because he has been a naughty boy and hasn't been fully representing his country of Sylvania the correct way.
Yes.
So he's sent back to have an audience with the Queen.
And that's when you get our introduction of Queen Louise.
And Queen Louise's introduction is still a traditional musical, but in a different way. There's a lot more of a cheeky side of Maurice, whereas there's more of the, for lack of a better phrase, the way that I saw it was like One Day My Prince Will Come kind of musical number from Queen Louise. She wakes up and talks about her dreams, and specifically how she wants to have a man in her life, but all the men in her life are interested in containing her and not how they can fit into her life. And that she has this really great, musical number about like, in her bed, and there's just people around her letting her sing basically. And then we kind of have another peek of like how involved the romance and the sex aspect of this is going to be. And while there's never any like specific acts that are shown on screen, there are moments specifically of her going into a bathtub, right? Mm-hmm. And for the time, 1929, it's still pretty racy of like, we have like a kind of knee and below shot,
right?
Where like she has removed her clothes, but you kind of see like maybe tiny bit of the thigh above her knee, kind of like dancing in the water of like testing the temperature of the bathtub and then getting in just to, I think, the right of the camera. So you can't see anything.
Right.
But it's still kind of revealing in a way that you're like, oh, I'm not sure where we're going. I'm not sure where the limitations are with this just yet. And that's something the movie has a lot of fun with, is it plays with the idea of like, what is okay, right? It doesn't feel like wrong, but it's like, it's kind of dancing with the idea of like, what do you think is inappropriate?
Yeah. I mean, you have plenty of scenes where she's in like her undergarments. And
it's not Taylor watched this with me, by the way. And when she put that on, she was like, I would love to have a robe like that.
Yeah.
And I said, that is silk. That is see-through. And it's not going to keep you warm at all. And she's like, that doesn't matter. It's the fashion of it.
Exactly. It's gorgeous. But, and she's not walking around in like lingerie, like, but I mean, she
Louise?
is. Yeah.
I was about to say,
But,
yes.
but you know what I mean? Like it's a full outfit, but it is very risque for
Correct.
the time
Yes.
and for royalty, of course.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of that. There's the bathtub scene you mentioned. And then there's my favorite first, I can't even say favorite. It's just a great moment from Louise where she makes a comment where she says, yeah, I've got great legs too. And she lifts up her dress and reveals one leg.
She says, the best leg in France.
Yes.
And then she says the other best leg is attached to it.
Yeah.
On the other
The
side.
only other leg you'll see as good as this one is right here, and shows her. Oh, it's so funny.
Most of the men are kind of like, oh, I shouldn't be looking at this. And one guy is like, I think he actually moves up to the front.
Yeah.
He's like, hold on now. Let me get a better look
Yeah,
at this.
she's like, oh, did everyone see that? And he comes up from the front. He's like, I didn't see. It's so funny, and it doesn't hold back from that like sexual nature of everything. And oh, it's so
It's interesting because it never comes across as depraved.
yes,
Right?
absolutely.
And it's very much like it keeps the cheeky nature of like, this is safe ultimately, but like we are going to touch on some stuff. And it's worth noting now that like now it's in 2025, you go back and watch it and you're just like, oh, it's very cute.
Yeah,
But back then it was kind of like, oh my, can they do this?
right. And even
Like,
the
is this
overall,
okay?
like Alfred being just like a womanizer, you know,
Yeah.
a playboy. That's a big deal, even by today's standards, I would say. Probably not to the same extent, but that whole theming is so much bigger, I would say, than showing a little bit of leg. And they're just playing with all of these very, very heavy topics,
Yes.
I guess you could say.
Taboo.
Taboo, thank you, yeah.
Taboo is the word I would think of. I mean, it's just it's not problematic now by any means, but back then it's just, what can we do? And it's interesting because I think there's the good with the bad, and the good here is that it's just a fantastic, like, fun romp. That's the extent of it, and they had fun with it. And I guess the bad, and it's not even really bad, it's just more kind of the repercussions of it, is that this is the exact kind of movie that leads itself to the code existing,
Sure, yeah.
right? Like, this is the kind of like citation of, well, why should we have a code? Like, what's the purpose of this code? And I don't think that that's the movie's fault, right? I think that's just kind of like preserving like a censorship that we honestly, it might be a lot of fun to have an episode dedicated to talking about the censorship and like how that happened, what the purpose of it is, what it's kind of shielding people from, good or bad. But a censorship nonetheless. And this was before that censorship existed. So they could really do whatever they wanted to. And it's worth noting that, like, when you watch this movie, which we both would recommend, I think that's the best way to put our ratings right now without saying them, is that there's nothing offensive in this movie.
No, you know, unless you're the highest level of a conservative film watcher, which good luck watching anything.
Yeah,
really.
I don't think this is not nearly the first movie you've had trouble with, if that's the mindset you have in that.
Yeah,
Good luck surviving Disraeli, to be honest.
no kidding. What a schemer.
I don't believe that's the way that you buy the Suez Canal, but, you know, that's what do we know about that? Who's not buying the Suez Canal is the relationship that I liked kind of second most, maybe not just as much, of Jacques and Lulu. So it's fun because we know many Jacques and Lulus, right? In the romantic comedies that are to come, the rom-coms, the future, the role of best friends is always a really fun one. I always like to think of Steve Zahn and Jack Black and Saving Silverman. I don't think that's the best rom-com example, but the idea of like the two best friends and how they kind of have their own little like romance, whether it be platonic or like they hate each other and kind of come back around to it. I always really like the dance of that. And I think that the way that Jacques and Lulu played in this is really fun and ultimately segmented very well, because it's not blending into like, you know, hey, it's all four of them hanging out and having a great time. It really is the romance inside of the palace, kingdom, whatever you want to call it. And then the romance, or at least the citation of the romance outside of it.
Yes.
In the courtyard, watching them in real time.
Yes, in response to the relationship of Alfred and the Queen.
Correct.
And that it flows so well.
Yeah. And there's a little more hesitation on that part of them not really seeking that in each other, but finding it at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I would say there's a little bit more of a seeking it on Maurice and Luis's side.
Absolutely.
Where they kind of have cited that they wanted this all along. And when they find it in each other, I think they both be like, well, what a good thing for me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what a good thing for what I want right now. And they're not thinking about the other person. And that's really where the juxtaposition exists, is that you see that selfishness in their relationship, but you see the lack of selflessness in like them monitoring other people of Jacques and Lulu.
Yeah.
So I like the comparison of those a lot.
It's so much fun. And Jacques and Lulu, even just like physically, there's comedy to be had, I think, in their appearance. Lulu is a little bit taller than Jacques. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit on the heavier side.
Sure.
Like there's a comedy in this attractive woman being interested in Jacques. And she almost bullies him a little bit at times.
A little bit.
And I don't know. Let's just talk about them and their performances in the various songs as a whole. My jaw dropped multiple times, especially for Jacques.
Yes.
His dancing is so incredible. He's doing the splits, he's doing flips. It's very physical. He gets to a point where he's almost break dancing.
I noticed that.
In a way.
Yeah.
And they're singing. These are all long takes, which, again, sometimes I forget that musicals and plays exist and things are done in real time and you only get one take. So when I see it happen on a movie and I'm like, wow, this guy really did like 17 flips back to back and now he's doing the splits. So impressive. But it is.
It is.
It's fun. It's exciting. How did you feel?
Well, I felt the same way, but for me, the other side of it too is that this is the second year where we've had talkies, right? So now we've kind of been confronted with the idea of like, I don't know why I just thought of this. I thought of the 2024 film Civil War when they're like, hey, I'm an American. They're like, okay, what kind of American are you? They're like, this is the year where, or these were the years where it's like, well, I'm an actor. Okay. What kind of actor are you?
Yeah.
Like, what can you do? Because, yeah, sure, you could do the physical side of it, but can you dance? Can you sing? Can you do all these other things that require you to be an actor in this time period? Mm-hmm. So my credit goes fully to Maurice Chevalier on this or Chevalier. We talked about this and I even got it wrong. Because specifically, this is the daunting ask. This is the ask of like, can you be charming? Can you be funny? Can you be romantic? Can you portray all these things physically? Cool. Can you sing?
Yes.
Can you dance? And he's crushing this. And what's really interesting to me is that early on, he actually kind of expressed this concern to Ernst Lubitsch of like, hey, I don't think I'm going to be capable of pulling off a Royal Cartier, right? Courier, whatever you want to call him. So this was something that resulted in Ernst having to like actually convince him of like, hey, don't worry about it. Like, you're safe. We got you. Explore this and do what you can. Because like being in a royal position like this, especially in the role of the military, so to speak, you're not going to think like, hey, this guy dance. Like we're far away from the world of White Christmas, where like we're doing a lot of like, oh, what's going on in the battlefield, boys? Oh, we're having our yearly performance review or like, our big review where we do all our musical numbers while on the battlefield. Far away from doing that. So the idea of portraying someone in the military having these moves and being able to sing this way and have this level of whimsy, I guess, is something that he was concerned about, the actor, Maurice. But I mean, that's not even something you think about now. Back then, it may have been a real concern. But like now, it's just a performance. You don't really think about the limitations of that. So I say all of that to say that it's really admirable the work that Maurice specifically puts into it, because I know that there is a lot of pressure, not just as an actor, but like, playing the social role of this very high level position. Is that okay to do? And even to Louise's credit, specifically, Jeanette
MacDonald.
Thank you so much. So Jeanette specifically, I think it's a similar position where like you're a queen. What kind of queen do you want to portray here? Is it a queen of high status, or do you sacrifice any of that by having like these wants and needs? And it's a similar performance, but for me, it's Maurice. It's Maurice that's the standout because of, to your point, the splits and the dancing that he's doing and the lengths he's going to, while still portraying this like, I guess, flawed individual of like having to find so many partners to like feel fulfilled in himself.
Yeah, absolutely. The interesting thing about this movie as a whole, the hesitations and the worries, I think, expressed by Maurice had to exist with everybody in the film.
Sure.
And pretty much anybody making a transition to the talkies. Something that I find fascinating is this was based off of a stage play as well, a stage musical, The Prince Consort. George Arliss and Disraeli was also based off a stage play. And George Arliss, of course, we mentioned he played the role many times on the stage. So he was already celebrated for being a talking actor. Here, you have the musician aspect of it, or the musical aspect, the singer aspect. Everybody here is singing. They already have that going for them. So this was Ernst Lubitsch's first talking picture. This was a big deal. These were the movies that made or break actors. It made or break directors.
This is his first full talkie, right?
Yes.
Because Patriot was infamously part.
Right, yeah, it had the part. But this was the full thing. These talking pictures were the moments where you brought some of your most celebrated actors from the silent era and you said, okay, you're going to be in a talking picture, only to find out that they don't have a strong voice,
Right?
even just speaking. And that was ruining careers. Huge celebrities were gone in an instant. Every movie thus far that we've talked about on the show for this year, you have successful stage actors and you have successful singers and musicians. Jeanette MacDonald, known as one of the greatest sopranos of all time by today's standards.
Behind Tony and all them.
Right, yeah, and me. These are people, this should have been a shoo-in for everybody, but everyone's nervous because this is going to make or break. It's so cool to see the success from this single film. Not only did it shoot all of them to stardom, because you have Maurice Chevrolet, who goes on to star in many more Ernst Lubitsch musicals, some that we will be covering on the podcast. But Jeanette MacDonald had a long career as a singer and actress. Lillian Gish, but everybody was just successful, and you can almost credit it to this movie and its success.
I mean, it's kind of a miracle that any of this came to be, right? I mean, to your point, everything, the ingredients were all there. Mm-hmm. Because you take like a lot of actors from the stage, so Broadway, off-Broadway plays in general, they have had a history of exactly what you need, right? We've been performing physically with our voices for this long time, so we are capable of doing it. Now just put us on front of camera. Right? So all of that was there, but it's still kind of a risk of like, well, we can't really use the silent film actors we have been relying on. If there is, just to speak kind of like modernly, if there is a George Clooney, if there is a Leo DiCaprio who existed in the silent film era, can we rely on them to have that same level of prestige that can bring interest to these movies? Mm-hmm. Now we kind of have to try something different. And that's always a risky play, even if this is the second full year where we've tried to do this. But the other aspect behind that is that it came at a time where like there was a lot of wonders of what you could do with this technology. And it's kind of amazing because there's one sequence specifically where both, I almost said Jacques, it's not Jacques, where both Count Alfred and Queen Louise are singing at the same time.
Yes.
They're singing a song at the same time separately. And this wasn't really something you could do before. It was a kind of a technical wonder at the time specifically. So with the technology they had to build, or with the technology they had available, they had to build two sets specifically to kind of accommodate this. So what I also love about this is you have someone like Ernst Lubitsch who is looking at this and saying, not saying, hey, it's not possible. It's more, well, with what is possible currently, what can we do to make this work? And I love this. I love when there's something that can be done on the production side to make something that is technically like, you almost don't even recognize it, right? When you watch this scene, you're just kind of like, yeah, of course, that happens. It's not possible then. That wasn't something you could do, so he had to try something different. And that's what I love about this, because you don't think with rom-coms that you're like really getting the high end of a lot of things. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, when you go and say rom-coms, they're like, oh, it's another Matthew McConaughey, Kate Hudson movie, got it. It's just same thing over and over. That wasn't always the case. Mm-hmm. You know, your Billy Wilders, your Nora Ephrons, your Nancy Meyers. Like there's a lot of evolutions to what rom-com can be and can do. And it just happened that in the 2000s to the 2010s, there was a lot of safe bets that were made. And that's unfortunate because that's not always the case. There's a reason. It's actually kind of funny that we brought up the Letterboxd top 4 for this exact reason. There's a reason you've got Males in my top 4, right? Because that is the movie that just feels like, oh yeah, you could just do this. You could just let two absolute charm bombs of Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, let alone the supporting cast, go to town and just like absolutely just... essentially a movie that's just like, what if we just make a rom-com set in New York in the fall? And that's the movie, essentially. Right. So I always love when they can do something like this, and I think that it's so impressive what was done with this specifically. And it's not just all on screen. It's a lot of behind the scenes too. So this is one for me that I enjoyed it when I watched it. And then when I did research, I like loved it.
Yeah.
Like it almost doubled my appreciation and like my love of the movie
That's awesome.
in doing the research for it.
It's so cool too, because you talk about letting the actors just go, and that's what sells the movie and things. And I
Right.
think that's something you could argue is what made like Disraeli successful at the time. You had an actor who knew the role and was capable and had done it. He goes and he does it. Success, whatever.
Yes.
You could say the same here, but the difference is that Ernst Lubitsch was also like, hey, we're not going to stop there with the actors and their performances. We're going to build these gorgeous sets. And it was nominated for art direction, but also for cinematography. The interesting thing that I noticed in this film is that the camera is not really moving a whole lot.
Not a ton.
However, you are getting these very interesting edits. There's a great scene when Alfred and the Queen have their first like date, if you will.
Yes.
And you're not really seeing what's going on between them. You see a little bit of it, but mostly what you're getting is the various groups around the palace watching through binoculars or whatever and commentating on what's going on. So there's a lot of cut to Jacques and Lulu sitting in a tree together, cut to all of the Queen's like political gents and their commentary, cut to the servants ladies. All of those edits, I think, are what make up the cinematography nomination. He said, oh, it's hard to move the camera on sound like we talked about last week. You've got a big blimp. You're trying to muffle the sound of the camera rolling.
Right.
Here, you're playing with the cinematography on what you can shoot as far as the scale and the massive sets and everything you're bringing in and the costumes and the hair and all of that. But then you're also having these edits that not only add movement and life to the movie, but they play a part in the comedy as well. And that just shows like how confident and capable Ernst Lubitsch is as a director.
Yep.
It's firing on all cylinders.
The thing that I was ready to comment on, and you just said it perfectly there, is that the connection between this and Arliss is that with Arliss, like it's a TV show, with Disraeli, with Arliss playing Disraeli, is that it is putting everything out there, 100%, just going to town in the service of this role. But it's very singular, right? It's Arliss putting it out there for this role, for that character, and that's it. Mm-hmm. With this, it's so collaborative.
Yes.
And it's all, if anything, that leads perfectly to like the transition of like the story of this, is that it is the collaborative nature of like, I'm going to work with you to make sure that this is in service of the movie. Mm-hmm. And with Disraeli, it's very much like, well, it's up to me to save this movie, and I'm going to save this movie. And with this, Love Parade, it's so much more collaborative. And I think that's so in the spirit of the actual story between Louise and Alfred, is that ultimately it's the way that it's a give and take, mm-hmm. right? When they meet, it's very much in servicing each other and like themselves, I should say. But by the time that the end kind of rolls around, I was almost ready to turn on Alfred a little bit because there's almost a little sinister nature that's teased in him a little bit. I'm thinking of towards the end, there's a scene in the theater. They're watching a ballet happening at the time.
Yeah.
And he almost has this commanding nature over her that's a little different than you come to expect. And you're like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like how commanding he is of her. But when you start to kind of like decipher what he's commanding, they're having this really intense conversation and she's like crying and he's like, smile. You have to smile. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he says I command you to smile, but it's very direct. Like you need to smile right now. And at first I was a little like, oh, I don't like that turn anymore. But then you start to realize that he's kind of looking out for her. He's like, you are a political figure. Like you are the queen. People are watching you as much as they're watching this ballet. You need to have this certain like this presentation to preserve yourself. Mm-hmm. And that made me turn a little bit more towards him. Otherwise I would have turned against him. I really liked that aspect. And that's now him, instead of thinking about himself, thinking about her, even if he's trying to fight for something.
Yes.
And ultimately, this leads to a place where they reconcile everything by flipping everything on its head. And now it's him saying like, hey, you've done some things wrong here. And I guess the best question is, what kind of punishment would be fitting of this, right? Mm-hmm. How do I punish you for the things you've done? And you see her realization of, we've just now gone full circle, but we're going to flip it. And now I'm in the position where I need to kind of give something to you where you gave something to me before. And that was kind of the perfect button for me of like, oh, got it. Like, I understand where this is going. It's not as much of a sinister thing anymore. And it's not where you would think like, okay, he's the villain and she's the hero. It really is just them. And it is how do they find their way in this relationship to where it's no longer just about what they're getting out of it, but what they can give to the other person.
Yes.
And I thought that rocked. And I was such a big fan. And I can't think of a better way to speak to the collaborative nature of what this seemed like behind the scenes compared to other films that can just be, I need to be the best that I can be so I can be the star of this movie. And it's more, how do we let this thing shine? Like, am I taking the back seat? Am I the laugh? Am I the serious? Am I the target? Am I pointing the gun at the target? Who do I need to be to get this to go?
Yeah.
And that rocks. Because that's at the heart of it, that's what we're talking about on this podcast, is how we can come together to kind of like put the best thing forward to be remembered by in history.
Yeah. I love that. That's beautiful.
I love Parade that.
Yeah.
It's such a good thing that like we have absolutely adored this, because it would be very difficult for us to like, I don't know, love Parade is pretty much exactly, it's both the title and the descriptor of this episode, basically.
Yeah.
Like, we're kind of praising this all the way. But there's really nothing I didn't like about this, you know? It's a little bit longer. It's about an hour and 50 minutes, so just under 2 hours, which I think we've talked about this a little bit on the pod, but it's always a little surprising to me, you know, when movies in 1929, 1930s do tend to be about 2 hours.
Yes.
I have a lot of conversation with my parents where I'm like, hey, you need to go see one battle after another. And they're like, okay, well, how long is it? I'm like, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. And they're like, the movies are just too long these days.
Yeah.
And then I watch this, and I'm like, that's 40 minutes longer than the Love Parade that was in 1929. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So it's always just surprising to see movies that are that length, because I anticipated it being like much shorter. We talked about Disraeli being an hour and 26 minutes or so after the pre-code footage being cut of 3 minutes. And it's just, I don't know, surprising to me. And I know this is a second run through for you with a lot of these movies. So is it like, do you put any weight behind the length of these and like being surprised that there were movies that were over 2 hours this long ago?
So I think the interesting thing to think about there with film length is if you're going to make a movie longer, that means it's going to cost more.
Correct.
Film cost money. And it's not just like, oh, we want to add another 20 minutes of scenes to this, it'll cost X amount of dollars. It's all based on whether you're able to get what you want to get. You know, you only get so many takes of something. All of the stuff that I think is fairly obvious if you're a movie fan and you're familiar with film and the concept of shooting on film. Mm-hmm. It takes a level of confidence, I think, when you want to make a longer movie during this time period. You can't just start adding things because you think, oh, this might be interesting, this might add a little bit. Every scene has to serve the overall narrative and really has to put forth some type of entertainment for the audience. Otherwise, it'll make or break a film, or it'll make or break your budget. So this being like close to 2 hours, anytime I see that for at least a nominated film, there's a hope that means the director has a level of confidence that everything in this movie is going to serve a purpose. So there's sometimes a worry when I see a shorter film, because then it really is kind of up in the air. It's like, well, this could be good, this could be bad.
So with longer, you establish that with or you connect that with more confidence.
Confidence and yeah, just
like studio confidence.
Yes. Studio confidence from the director, all of that. It seemed to work so far, I think, as far as we've gotten on the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know if it always will, but I think this is a prime example of, oh, I've got to sit here for 2 hours? Okay. There's not a single moment in this movie that doesn't get played for laughs, doesn't add some emotional value, isn't entertaining. I think that's pretty exciting.
Definitely. No, I mean, I wholly enjoyed my time with this, and the audience did too. It was received very well. Mm-hmm. Obviously, ended up with 6 nominations, like you mentioned previously. Another interesting tidbit is that it did actually come at a time where the Wall Street crash has happened.
Yes.
Right? So very interesting timing of this, because specifically this performing as well as it did result in saving the fortunes of Paramount. Paramount specifically getting its significant amount of money that it lost in the Wall Street crash from this production. So, you know, interesting, just because at the time it's obviously something where money is a little tighter in some areas than others, more the rich than the, you know, middle class. But specifically, It's always nice when you can see movies come in and save the day with something like that.
Yeah. And I think this is going to be the year, specifically because of the Wall Street crash, where you see the movies that are nominated and the movies that take home wins from this Academy year. These are the studios that kind of survive and keep going, at least for the foreseeable future. Now it's different. Goodbye, Warner Brothers. But yeah, I mean, it's a big deal. Not to spoil anything, but All Quiet on the Western Front that we're going to be covering, huge deal for Universal.
Yep.
These are very important, very impactful movies for the history and the future of these studios, of these directors and actors like we talked about. This is kind of the make or break year.
It is. And it feels a little bit more like an even split among the studios. We talked last year about how it was MGM that had 2 musicals.
Yes.
Correct? Yeah. Both in Hollywood Review and Broadway Melody. And we mentioned how both of those didn't really feel like a typical musical. So it's nice to see that, there's a split in the studios that are getting the representation within the awards, but at the same time, that there are other studios who are playing with those same ideas of musicals, but then they have landed on something that struck a chord with the audience because this is more of the traditional musical that you'd see in moving forward. Now, granted, in this musical aspect, it is still kind of contained, right? We don't see a number of people behind them getting involved in the song and singing along with them, but we do still see kind of like out of nowhere a song can just erupt.
Yes.
And that person takes over. So that element of the narrative is happening, and while the song comes on, that song pushes the narrative. That is very much present here. Mm-hmm. And do we know if it's one of the first movies that introduced that concept?
This is the first musical.
Beautiful.
That integrated the songs with the story.
Absolutely. I mean, it's incredible. And that's why I'm glad that when we talk about preservation, that this movie is available on Visical. Something that you reached out to me this pretty recently on is the idea of talking about how these movies are capable of being watched, purchased, right? We've talked about streaming. We've talked about Tubi, YouTube, how you can watch these on here. I specifically did watch this on YouTube on the playlist that you have shared for the audience.
Pizza Flicks.
Do you agree with me that this guy is a VTuber?
I watched him this time. The guy.
How do you feel?
Yeah, he's either a VTuber or, like I mentioned last week, that Dead Silence puppet kind of thing. I don't know. It's one or the other.
It could be both.
Hey, check out the playlist of movies available for a few years at least.
And thank you, Pizza Flicks, for the hard work that you've done.
Yes, I really do like Pizza Flicks.
Yes.
So,
I mean, we wouldn't be able to watch these without the work that you're putting in, so thank you. Also, very fun fact, I just did watch a movie on that playlist on Monday. So when they're like, Classic Movie Monday, I was like, oh, that's today.
You did it.
Very cool. That's one aspect, watching them digitally, right? Sure. How can we stream that if it is possible to be streamed? Another aspect is when these are available on physical disc. Mm-hmm. And one of the leading champions that we did champion ourselves in our Lost Media episode was Criterion. And Criterion is doing great work, both in their collections, their channels that they have where you can go and watch the individual films or the collections they put together, but also on their physical discs. And this is the first recording of a Oscar-nominated film to be released as a Criterion. Is that correct, Kyle?
To my understanding, yes.
Great. Mine as well. And it is released in a collection, right? A collection of Ernst Lubitsch films, which 3 to 4 of those films have been nominated for best, or for the Oscars, we should say. And one of them is Love Parade. So I guess, unfortunately, the Love Parade on Criterion is out of print. So if you happen to find the Love Parade or even that Ernst Lubitsch collection on Criterion, pick that up. I'm actually going to be doing that at Barnes & Noble. Thank you, Barnes & Noble, 50% off Criterion sale, and seeing what I can find. But it's always really nice when you can hear that there are Blu-rays that exist, discs in general, of a film that is almost 100 years old.
Bring. Hey guys, it's Kyle. I'm cutting into the episode to give an update. The reason we said this film was out of print from the Criterion collection is because it has not been released yet. It's actually a 4-movie set of Ernst Lubitsch musicals coming out on Blu-ray, 4 films. That's going to be The Love Parade, Monte Carlo, The Smiling Lieutenant, and 1 Hour with You. That's set to release February 17th of next year, 2026. So it's not out of print. It hasn't been printed yet. So look forward to that in the future. Sorry about the mistake. That's the correction. Back to the episode. Yeah, it's exciting just in the preservation and the availability aspect of everything. If you're a fan of this movie and you can get your hands on this Lubitsch collection, you're golden.
I feel like there's a lot of trust that's earned in this role of Count Alfred with Chevalier, in that, again, his concerns that he had about playing this royal figure, at least in the military, and playing him the way that he does. I think a lot of that trust was earned in this, and it makes sense, and I'm very glad to see that he returns multiple times with Ernst Lubitsch, because that's, I mean, the work that they did, again, you talk about collaboration, like, it goes a long way.
Yes.
In showing the trust that you have as a director, and, like, you know, letting actors do what they need to do and explore these things and having that payoff. So very cool to see that returned effort.
Yeah, and one other thing to cap on to something you said, this movie pulled Paramount out of Depression Doom, basically. Ernst Lubitsch became the head of Paramount Pictures.
Right.
Because of this. And, I mean, that's massive. Imagine putting out a movie that is so successful that the studio's like, hey, man, we could really use your help in the future. And that's Lubitsch. If we weren't already required to watch some of these Lubitsch musicals for the podcast, I would sit down and I would just watch them, because this was so much fun, so ahead of its time. I mean, to go back to the Jacques and Lulu dance number, this is like Singing in the Rain level of physical comedy.
Right.
You know, this is make 'em laugh before we were making them laugh. I love it. I don't know what else to say. I love it.
It's charming, and that's the biggest takeaway, and that's a word that feels unremarkable to use when you talk about romantic comedies and musicals alone. But together, it's just, it's so amazing. And my final thought on it is this, like, it's very cool when romantic comedies are great. It's really cool when musicals are great. Hey, it's great when movies from 1929 are actually enjoyable in 2025.
Yes.
But when all of those things can be true at the same time, and you can speak to the historical part that it played in bringing us the movies that we have now, it's that much more special. Because you can look at movies like Disraeli and say, well, you know, we wouldn't have our Zero Dark 30s or our Hurt Lockers without it.
Yeah.
And that's true, but at the same time, it's not quite as enjoyable on its own. But then you have something like this where it's like, I put it side by side with these things, right? I wouldn't put it in order of, well, this happened, so then it brought us this, and thank God for that. It's more, it just falls in perfectly.
Yeah. Just the things you can list about it. You know, it was the first to do this, it was the first to do that. And it's wild that the first of all of these things is so hugely entertaining and successful.
Big fan.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say without praising it over and over and over.
That's the best way to put it.
And over. Side note, this is the first movie that Ziggy, my partner, has sat down and watched with me for the show.
Wow. Oh my God, same.
Is it really?
It is.
You know, I don't think it was lack of interest in the other movies. I think Friday night, we had just watched Frankenstein.
Yes.
And the idea was we were recording on Saturday, and I went, oh, I didn't watch The Love Parade yet. Hey, do you want to watch this, or I can go in the other room and watch it? She's like, no, watch it. She had a blast.
That's amazing.
She loved it.
It was, I think Taylor had a little bit more of she had to prove it to herself that she could do it. She was like, no, let's watch one. I was like, great, Love Parade is next. She's like, awesome. I think it was Disraeli. Technically, I should have watched first, but I watched Love Parade first because she wanted to watch one. And I was like, I think Love Parade's more your speed than Disraeli. And I was right.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, I know. But we did watch Love Parade, and she got about halfway through, and she was like, I'm just bored. And here's the thing. I don't even think that that's solely a knock on Taylor. I think that I have conditioned myself. I'm in the third year, actually, of the movies that we have watched for the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
So any issue that she has with it of like, hey, I got TikTok brain. Like, I need something that was filmed in the past 30 years. I need something that is like a little more lively, something that's a little more upbeat, something with octane. She's not getting that. She doesn't understand the same way that I have, or not understand, but conditioned herself to expect black and white.
Sure.
Production issues, audio issues, like the things that for her is like, hey, what's wrong with this movie? And it's like, no, it's like at the time, this is what happened.
Yeah.
So with all of that being said, she still enjoyed what she saw of it. It was just like, hey, it's a 2-hour movie. Like, I kind of have to sit out for a second.
Totally.
And I finished it, and I think she would have liked it if she had finished it. But the other part of that too is that I think with musicals, she's always a little hit or miss. But I think of the ones that I've watched, that's probably the one she would have enjoyed the most if she had sat through it. And that'll make sense in my double feature when I get to it, because I think it pairs itself well with the kind of movie that she does like.
Nice.
But it's interesting that this was the one that both of our partners were like, yeah, I'll watch this one.
Yeah.
That wasn't really Taylor's decision, but I mean, still, it is funny that it worked out that way.
Yeah, it was a coincidence, really.
Yeah.
There was nothing. It's not like I showed her the trailer and she was like, my God.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Give it to me.
I will say that Taylor did have her own questions about the Pizza Flicks VTuber man.
Pizza Flicks.
This film. Yeah, exactly.
Great work, guys.
Great.
Really
appreciate both of you.
So we move on to our double feature.
Yeah. One of my favorite segments that we do.
I struggle, man. And it's not so much that I think that my picks are bad. I still don't have my pick.
Oh, at this present moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do
you want to go first?
It really is like the second I watch a movie, I'm like, all right, what's my double feature? And I forget every movie that's ever been made, except for like a Muppet movie and some Nickelodeon adaptation. It's so weird.
And you don't want to do repeats, right?
No.
You don't want to like bring up a movie you've already mentioned. And it's tough because like we're going to be talking about hundreds of movies. So we have to be thinking of other hundreds of movies to pair it with.
Exactly.
Or in your case, and I do stand by this, other theme park attractions.
Listen, you know what goes great with the Love Parade? Hanna-Barbera's Wild, whatever it's called, or the Wild West Stunt Show. Like, just the most bizarre picks.
I had such a great time with All Quiet on the Western Front. I would absolutely pair it with Hollywood Studios' Tower of Terror.
Yeah, that's a choice.
Yeah, that sounds like a good pick
They're
for
scary.
me. Yeah, totally.
Both scary.
That's not my pick for All Quiet on the Western Front. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Do you want me to start this off?
I think
Do you
you
want
have
some
to.
time? Okay.
I don't think we have a choice.
Maybe this will inspire you a little bit.
Yeah.
So when it came to my double feature for Ernst Lubitsch's sure, the Ernst Lubitsch picture of the Love Parade, it showed me that faith is not blind, right? I don't need wings to help me fly. And it proved to me that miracles can happen once in a while when you believe. And another movie that did that was The Princess Diaries.
Okay. That's not an okay as a bash to what you picked. That was not where my brain went.
Yeah, no. I was doing that's
Princess Diaries.
that would be Myra's Miracles Happen that I recited in that. So if you know, you know. Princess Diaries isn't just the royal element of it, right? It was finding your way in what royalty looks like. How do you become royalty? How do you portray yourself as someone who is thrust upon a royal position like Count Alfred is?
This is such a perfect pick.
And I think that Princess Diaries goes a very long way and has a lot to thank the Love Parade for its position in what you can do. I think not just of Mia, the role of Anne Hathaway's role in the movie Princess Diaries, but I think of Michael, who is portrayed in the movie by the lead singer of Rooney, the band Rooney that actually is in the movie. One of my favorite things. Did you know that?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Have you seen Princess Diaries?
Yes, but I don't know what Rooney is.
You don't know what Rooney is? Blue Side? Show you my blue side?
Listen, we're talking spicy films.
Grab
but
me
I
a
don't think you
keyboard.
can say that.
Okay. Well, so Rooney is a real life band, and in the movie Princess Diaries, Michael, her love interest in the film, has a band who plays in the garage. And one of my favorite details, I don't know why it exists, is that the keyboardist of the band is playing keyboards, but he has M&Ms on the keyboard. So whenever he's playing, you see M&Ms just bouncing up and down off the keyboard. And that's the real band Rooney, and they're playing their real song. I think it's Blue Side. It might be Shakin'. Shoo Shoo Shakin', I'm shaking up. You know. I see it. I know you know. And Blue Side. It's one of the two. Anyways, I'm super off topic. The point is that not only is Mia's thrust into the world of politics and being like, royalty prevalent in the film, but also there's the side that Michael has, where if Michael is to be involved with this person, what part do I play in that, right? Is it about you? Is it about me? What do I do in that? And that's minor compared to what Mia has to... I mean, she's the movie. He is 2% of it. But still, it made me think of that a little bit. And I think that the cheeriness and the brightness and the comfort of like, even if things go wrong, you're safe in this movie is fully present in Gary Marshall's Princess Diaries as it is in Ernst Lubitsch's the Love Parade.
My biggest takeaway is Gary Marshall directed Princess Diaries.
100%.
Man.
I'm thinking of the same Gary Marshall who went on to do like Valentine's Day, did Runaway Bride, a lot of Julia Roberts films, right?
Related to Penny Marshall?
Correct. Yes,
Yeah.
the same.
Wow.
One and the same.
That is such a good pick.
I know. You know what I love about this is like maybe other people too, but Taylor's going to go back and listen to this. And when she hears me reciting the lyrics to Miracles Happen, I know she's just going to be like levitating.
Yeah.
Hopefully she's not driving because that car is going to swerve.
Speaking of swerve.
Yeah, what do you got?
Here's my best pick. Okay, I came up with this just now, and I don't think it's too bad. You let me know. I'm going to go with Pretty Woman.
Another Gary Marshall.
Really?
I believe so. Keep talking. I'll look it up.
So to me, it's kind of like you've got your romantic comedy, you've got your sexual element to the film. You have someone that is following a very specific lifestyle that has the opportunity to. It is Gary Marshall. Somebody who's put in a position where they are kind of expected to tone down that lifestyle a little bit. So good. And then it plays out into, hey, this works. We're compatible. We're getting together. We're enjoying each other.
But look at you.
Yeah.
Hard to say that Gary Marshall isn't a fan of Ernst Lubitsch, right? Look how much. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not even tongue in cheek, like we're making a joke. 100%.
Well, and you talk about a film that also existed pre-code and like Pretty Woman that is, I mean, for all intents and purposes, pretty racy of a film.
Yeah.
Concept-wise, a little difficult for like people to grab onto when it came out.
Sure.
But also at the same time, that naughtiness, I guess, so to speak, that like level of intrigue and dare, I guess is the best word to put it behind, resonated. And like that was something that people, also it helps that Julia Roberts was just an absolute bombshell of a performer and still is, but like huge come up.
Yeah. I mean, they're both pushing the envelope. They're both talking about taboo subjects, taboo topics. They are both very successful in their romantic comedy. They're funny.
Both dealing with the idea of multiple partners.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Class. That's what I got.
Wow. Here's the thing. Audience, you let us know. You comment in and let us know what you think. I think that Kyle is selling himself short with his double features. I think that despite what he might think, I actually admire the Muppet Vision selection. I think comparing George Arliss and his creative choices to that of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius is inspired. And I think that Pretty Woman is, I mean, the fact that we both picked Gary Marshall films, like,
wild.
What's going on?
Wild.
We are the same. But like on top of that, the dual class of Julia Roberts to Richard Gere at that time, something that's also talked about in the Love Parade. With like he is, of course, still in the politics or the royalty game, but he's more protecting on the army side, and she is the royalty. So you have that class difference.
Yeah, even when they get together, he doesn't become king.
Right.
He's prince who doesn't do anything.
Right.
He can't do anything.
How do you feel about the spiritual successor to Pretty Woman of Runaway Bride?
I never saw it.
Really?
Yeah.
Runaway Bride went triple platinum in my household when I was a kid. My mom, I should not have been watching that when I was as young as I was, but she loved those movies. My love of romantic comedies probably stems from my mom's love from it too. Notting Hill. I mean, Gary Marshall films in general, Nancy Meyers, that came to be. So Nancy Meyers is my go-to right now. I love Nora Ephron. I mean, obviously the When Harry Met Sally and When You've Got Mail of it all. When You've Got Mail. You've Got Mail of it all. But Nancy Meyers for me is just kind of like she has, I mean, look at Pottery Barn. Pottery Barn wouldn't exist without Nancy Myers. Like
I don't think it does anymore.
It wouldn't have existed.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Nancy Myers. But, you know, the very big part of it too is just the power that it gave to actors, specifically actresses and women. Like to say, you don't have to be under 40 to be seen as like a sex symbol. You don't have to be young in order to be having like stories that matter to people. So she takes like, you know, Diane Keaton, rest in peace. And you take like Meryl Streep and, you know, later on Reese Witherspoon, Kate Winslet, Cameron Diaz. These are like younger actresses comparatively, but she kind of like subverts the expectation that something is expected of you because of your age and that you can't be interesting or romantically interesting or, you know, sexually attractive. Like you can have everything as well as an amazing kitchen. And that's just something Nancy Meyers always loved. And I literally just saw a TikTok last night that was, I recreated Kate Winslet's cottage kitchen from The Holiday. And I was just like, you're doing God's work.
Wow.
Thank you so much for this. I'm just going to blast The Killer's Mr. Brightside and eat a pint of ice cream and watch this TikTok. Again, the real ones know, but I love romantic comedies and I love musicals. And it's just very cool to see The Love Parade kind of nailing both of those aspects without feeling like you're putting a handicap on it for its, coming out in 1929.
Totally.
Super cool.
Hit me with your rating.
4.
Solid 4.
4.
Yep. Same here.
I feel like I'm going to see something that resonates a little bit more, but like it's just so much fun.
It's a blast. I honestly, I could put it on again as soon as we end this podcast.
You might.
I'd be okay with it.
I think you might.
I might.
It's a very easy decision for me where when I go to Barnes & Noble afterwards and I happen to find an out-of-print copy of The Love Parade or that collection that you mentioned for Ernst Lubitsch, it's a done deal. Like that's just an immediate pickup.
Listen, if you find 2, save me one.
We'll see.
Well, okay.
I find 2 and there's like a 5-year-old kid that's like, please, sir, I need Ernst Lubitsch.
The leg joke really gave me a chuckle.
Did you know it's the first talkie that mentioned the fourth wall break? I'm like, oh no.
I hope that's true. I hope there's a kid out there. He should listen to the podcast.
I think he has to.
Totally.
Hey, you know what? He loved your Jimmy Neutron comparison.
No, he probably despised it. He's like, peasant.
No, I love the idea that he has no interest in watching Disraeli, and then you drop Jimmy Neutron. He's like, oh, my man's spitting.
Yeah.
I need to check out Disraeli then.
I too love llamas and politics.
I did not know that Disraeli had a robot dog named Goddard.
There you go. Spitting facts that I've forgotten.
Oh, dang. Do I know more about Jimmy Neutron than you do? Oh, no.
100%.
Great.
Listen, if you have thoughts about Ernst Lubitsch, I can't say that in the possessive form.
It does sound weird. I just leaned into it.
Yeah. Ernst Lubitsch's hit film, The Love Parade, or anything about the movies from this year, or you just want to write us a nice letter, send us an email at outaaopodcast@gmail.com. Leave a rating and review on the podcast on whatever platform you listen to us on. Social medias in the show notes. Patreon.com/outaaopodcast. We're going to be putting out the poll where you get to pick which film you think truly deserved Best Picture winner for this lineup of movies very soon. You can do that by being a member of the Patreon. Anything else you've got to add?
It's worth noting that these episodes are releasing in December. Mm-hmm. And afterwards, we're going to be taking a little month off, right?
Yeah. We'll talk more about that, I think, as we get closer to the show. But just to give you a heads up, we are approaching the end of season 1. Mm-hmm. And then we'll be returning midway through January.
And we'll be returning with something I'm very excited for, which is the live 2026 Oscars. We'll be doing the coverage. We'll be talking about nominations. We'll be covering the movies that are nominated for Best Picture. And we'll be covering that in real time. Very much looking forward to that, because that's something that you and I do anyways.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll get into more detail on that as we get closer to the end of season 1.
Yep.
Until then, though, thanks for listening. As always, I'm your host, Kyle.
And I'm Ryan.
And we'll
see you at the movies.